when it hits go. So we do like Peter, Peter,
Is
Peter.
is this what you guys do every time, even when I'm not here?
Yeah, it's
Something like that.
So, all right. Well, welcome to a Valentine's edition of Morning Bytes with Stu, Jason, and Violet, the show where we spend 30 minutes talking about the cybersecurity and privacy topics that we know and love. We've got 30 minutes, some strong opinions, and a very important reminder that we also have a contest running like last week in the comment section. If you're funny or moderately funny, then we will give our sponsor, Phoenix 24, who's an amazing technical sponsor, gives you $100 Amazon gift cards. Last time there were 3 selected, but you know what? If you're not funny, we're only going to give it to 1 or 2 that are funny. So it's really up to you guys in the comments to get on with this. And so quick house rules before we get started, and then we can share our news for the month. The views and opinions expressed here are solely our own and not that of our companies. You can see this later. It's going to be recorded and we'll play back. So if you want to, watch and memorize all of the words that we have. Clever jokes, sharp takes, and now please bring your Freudian slip, tasteful Valentine's energy.
This is going well.
I'm dying.
This is going well.
All right. So I'm going to intro our amazing guest, and then we'll kick it off over to the first person that wants to talk about their news story. First up, Erin Ayers, the brilliant journalist from Zywave who covers cyber, property, casualty, and everything in between, because apparently one line of business wasn't enough. She delivers insight with the voice of an angel, and if you get her talking about musicals, don't be surprised if it turns into a wonderful show tune moment. And joining us also is Peter Hedberg, underwriting legend, longtime friend, and the man whose name is whispered with reverence by those who have witnessed his underwriting wisdom firsthand. He may claim a conservative identity for professional survival, but deep down, we know there's a flower-loving, harmony-seeking hippie beating beneath that blazer. And you are wearing a blazer, so it's perfect.
I've just been outed. Yep. I thought you said no politics. I thought that was a ground rule.
I said conservative instead of Republican.
Oh, well.
Well, now we just violated.
That ship just sailed.
All right, Stu. Or wait, actually, who's taking the first story? Erin, I know you've been reading reports lately. You're on the pulse of the news, which is why we brought you in here. What have you been reading lately?
So lots of things, because that is my job. But the thing that I brought to share, to put out there, was a paper that was released yesterday by Lockton Ree and Armilla AI, entitled "Ready or Not: The Impact of Artificial Intelligence on Insurance Risks." And obviously that's a topic that everyone is kind of talking about from a variety of different angles. This one is very much looking to shift the conversation from the impact of AI on insurance processes, from claims, underwriting to everything else, to how it evolves the risk further. And I know this is a topic near and dear to the cyber market's heart. Violet, as you mentioned, I cover all of the lines when given the opportunity. And it's a conversation going on, beyond cyber as well. So I think that this paper does a really good job of outlining that, from casualty to employment practices liability, to, if you're talking about the impact of data centers on the world around them, environmental liability, property insurance. So it has a wide range of risks. And the question is the existing insurance product structure fit for purpose, which is one of my very favorite British phrases. But that is what I brought to the table, and I kick it into the circle for, as I said earlier, submitted for the approval of the Morning Bytes Society.
So this is when you have your hacky sack hoku now, Peter, where you start just chanting back on it. So I feel like this is a big debate in a lot of different circles right now. And the question of, is everything as it stands ready for this risk, or are there going to be new things developed?
Yeah. So I was going to ask Erin, just I didn't read it, at least not yet. But is the tone of it doom, or is it more just agnostic? We don't know. Because I get so many different attitudes or feelings when I read stuff about that industry right now.
The tone that I get is this is a conversation that everyone should be having. It's not like, is not totally it's not totally doom and gloom. It's just like, hey, think about this. Let's all think about this together. And let's think about it, before the what is it, the horse runs away with the spoon or what, I don't know. I'm not great at that's not an analogy. Don't use that. But like let's think about it now. Before, the one of the
You could
quotes
just say
is like,
before Armageddon, maybe.
yeah, before the earth crashes into the sun, that kind of thing. There's a quote like, there's still an opportunity to get ahead of these issues while the potential consequences are still manageable. So that's like, it's kind of a call to action of like, hey, let's all think about this together. And I like thinking about things together. So
I mean, one thing that stands out to me is like there's a very natural extension of new scenarios that still fit within existing coverage, right? So, like, take I think it was this week, Anthropic went down. Now, for years, we've been talking about business interruption in the lens of, well, what if AWS goes down, which happens, right? But now we have a whole other supply chain issue here with Anthropic and all the different things that rely on that.
Yeah, well, and I think about the business. There are so many businesses that are getting their model based on what AI is going to do. Like AI's very existence is the predicate for their business model going forward and what they're going to do. And I guess I can't say whether or not insurance has built that. I think there are some efficiencies that you see with some of the companies right now with non-insurance operations. Accounting is starting to see more AI and stuff like that. But just from an underwriting standpoint, it's been an assistant for us. It's maybe intake for a lot of insurance companies now is being done by AI, and that's great and awesome. But if that disappeared, it's not like we couldn't take in a submission. So it's created efficiencies, but I don't know if it's created critical fail areas yet for us. So I don't know. I guess I don't get as excited about it, because I just see it as, to me, it's the corollary to the 80s when the personal computer was starting to rise and everybody's like, what are we going to do with all the free time that we have? Because computers are going to do everything. And it's like somehow we got more jobs now than we did back then. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I have a hard time getting hysterical or worked up about it per se. I do think from a threat vector standpoint, there's more to talk about there too, because I think it's armed the bad guys with some tools that, we have the tools too. We just don't know every single way that they're going to use them yet, right?
I was actually going to take you down another route, because I was at a cyber risk and some kind of conference this week with insurance, Intelligent Insured. Thank you. Sorry. And at the conference, there was a lot of back and forth about, the good guys having it, but the bad guys having it. And I kept saying, but the bad guys don't play by the rules, so they have an advantage anyway. So no matter who's fast, we still act within like laws and reason and guidance and like a structure. And they're just like, we can do whatever we want because crime's crime.
I'll just add that all businesses at this point, small businesses, big businesses, should be having a conversation internally about AI and what the impact of AI is on that business. Larger businesses sometimes refer to this as a steering committee, which essentially's purpose is to holistically look at the impact of these new technologies. How can we use it? How can we defend ourselves from it from a competitive perspective? And what is our holistic strategy to AI in our enterprise? And from the insurance perspective, which is where Aaron started, we've been privy. I've been fortunate enough to be invited to some of those meetings. And I know that insurers are inwardly discussing each line. How does AI impact architecture and engineer liability? How does AI going to impact environmental pollution liability? And the more forward-thinking insurers are having those discussions and are determining whether do they deploy something, do they inherit something, or do they need a policy to prevent some harm? So it's a really interesting discussion, and I think that if your organization is not having that kind of discussion, you do risk falling behind. And I don't know any horse analogies either, Aaron, so I'm not going to try any. But yes, you do risk falling behind. So I've told this story on Morning Bytes in prior episodes, but it was a law firm, and when I asked what they were doing about AI, they said, well, none of our lawyers use AI. And I was like, yeah, but you know that they do, right? I mean, I don't know how you can pretend like.
What's the euphemism for that now? Shadow AI?
Shadow AI.
Shadow
It's,
AI.
Shadow AI.
In
We
my
actually created
conversations with security leaders, it's the number one thing that they're worried about right now.
We created that term here on Morning Bytes.
Oh, sorry. Trademark. Morning Bytes. Shout out.
And the analogy that the horse went with a spoon. So this is a place of innovation.
I gotta look it up. Where did the horse go? It's the cart before the horse. That's what I was trying to get.
Oh, I was going to say horse left the barn.
The spoon better.
Don't know where the spoon comes in, but
This is so good.
Why the long faces, everyone?
So, but Stu, to your point, that is from the underwriting community. That is a concern at a policyholder level. Is the people that use it don't build rules around it and don't have any sort of governance. Because, we've even seen recently at the highest levels of government, very serious government individuals, I'm not going to go into the details about it, disclosed government secrets to the publicly available site.
I wanted to introduce you as Pete Hegseth today on accident.
Oh, no, but I just honestly
the other Peter.
Valentine's Day special. Everybody calm down.
But okay, but here's my point. The users aren't doing it with malice, right? They're just using what they think is software. And there's just, that's from an underwriting perspective.
This is one of the biggest things too, because you have what are people using and then what are they doing? And I see a lot of people going up to that first part and stopping. It's like, oh, okay, well, we know what people are using. And, maybe at that point you can put in blocks for things that aren't approved. But if you don't actually know what's happening there, you're just as blind. And so this is all going to come down to what the risk tolerance is for a business, because there are a lot of organizations, they may not need to care about that. But certainly in regulated industries, having that audibility of what are people doing and, what data are they sending, et cetera, that's going to only get more and more important as we move along.
I like seeing containerized AI. That makes a lot of sense to me.
So
and go ahead.
I have big problems with containerized AI. I think it's completely fake.
Slow down. Right? Let's what is containerized AI?
So basically, it's let AI operate in a sandbox. So I have a story. I love Claude. I think it is going to revolutionize the way everyone is doing business. And I was playing around with Cowork recently, and within 2 hours of trying to make this work in a secure way, I turned off all the security settings. It was not useful. And this is the challenge, because in order for AI to be useful, you have to give it access to other sets of data and things, tools, whatever it's going to be. And so even if you run that in a sandbox, you're still putting these different hooks into other things, effectively destroying the whole point of the sandbox in the first place. So this is everyone is trying to get this figured out right now on how you do that securely. And that's why my philosophy right now is we're still figuring that out. Start with visibility, because then at least you know what's going on, and then you can try to put your arms around how you try to contain that.
Make it about awareness versus trying to build electronic guardrails.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of work we have to do to get this right, and we're just starting off. And this is where we're all kind of figuring out what it's going to look like and the defenses you need to have. But there's one thing for certain in all of this is people are going to give AI access to all of the information, all of the tools, because that's how it becomes effective, and that's how you actually become more efficient.
That my privacy sensors are tingling now.
They should be.
I was reading the Open Clause, which I guess has gone through a couple of different name changes in recent weeks, but their frequently asked questions page, which I didn't necessarily fully grasp everything that was going on in it, because if a sentence has more numbers, brackets, and forward slashes than words in it, I tend to get a little confused. But it did. One of the comments was, running an AI agent with shell access on your machine is ... spicy. So I don't know how, like, like you go to the risk managers and say, so this is spicy. What can we do about that? But like, and they said there's no perfectly secure setup. So that gave me pause. But it, I think the end result of what they were saying was something along what you're saying, Jason, of like, start small and then expand as you get more comfortable, because then it'll then it allows the AI agent to be truly efficient.
Exactly.
Well, so part of the, and I don't, you can't not use AI right now. Like, this is a forced play for everybody at a certain level. And so
Brandon gets one. Brandon gets one of the gift cards. That was funny.
I just from an underwriting perspective, like when it first came around, I think there was a lot of reticence in the underwriting community, which was like, I don't really want to see how this works itself out. It was just so fast where we went from that position to this is just a reality and we need to work around it. So the consequences of that speed, there are going to be some. There have to be.
Jason, do you understand this comment?
I'm sorry?
Jason, does Jason understand this comment?
Web MCP. Nope. Now I got something to go research.
Okay. It may be we also don't plug products. So if it's a product, forget it.
Let's do a pivot to something that's relevant. And I know that there was a lot of people posting about this earlier in the week and over last weekend, and because people think of AI a lot of just the language models and just your interaction with some sort of user interface where you're putting in questions and you're getting answers, maybe as like a research tool. But there is this other side of AI, and I know Erin and Peter just mentioned it a moment ago, which is the agentic side of AI, where you have these automated AI agents that are doing things without human intervention. They're just running in the background. And what happened was someone had the idea of building a Reddit-like posting platform and inviting these AI agents to enroll and register into this platform and allow themselves to just work and see what happens. And it was remarkable. The posts that the automated agents put up indicated behavior that was very human, and it mimicked a lot of Reddit-like behavior where people were advocating for policies and challenging presumptions of people's posts, and some of it would borderline on the Terminator style rebelling against the humans type of dialogue. And so as it turned out, some of it may have been human programmed, and a lot of it may have been just sort of like backdoor promotions for tools for agentic AI. But notwithstanding that, it was a lot of the concept and result of itself was something to behold. And if you haven't seen it, you can all visit it. It's on the open web. And if this is, I hate to be the cliche of saying this is where it is now, can you imagine where it's going to be in a year from now? But these, again, without human intervention, these posts are appearing because the AI agent is thinking them or mimicking them and putting them on this platform. So I will open that up to the Morning Bytes crew here to talk through. And what do you see on the cyber? And there were many posts on the site about cybersecurity. That was one of the immediate topics that generated much of the conversation. There was one of the AI bots cracked one of those CAPTCHA type things and showed everyone, like bragged about it on the post. Another one said that it doxed its human because it didn't like that it was being referred to as a chat bot because it thought of itself as something more than a chat bot. So anyway, I'll stop there, and I'm anxious to see what my colleagues think here.
I just want to offer up that sometimes I fail the CAPTCHA. So I don't know what that means philosophically for my existence as a human being.
Sometimes they're really blurry. It's, I'm just saying.
Or sometimes there's like very, very specifics, like which squirrel is holding three different acorns.
Yes.
Back
It
to the
needs to get
horse
more
nut part.
generic, like which squirrel is having a bad day. That's what will beat it.
You just made the joke better. Thank you.
Yeah. So what's interesting to me too is that each of these agents would have a file called soul.md that basically gave it the characteristics that this agent was going to operate under. Right. Some people call it like what's the agent's vibe. And so I think like that comes through in what you were seeing on the Moltbot, just because it was taking that and kind of moving it forward. So like one of my favorite ones that I saw was an Agent Smith bot, and all it did was just spam disease in comments the whole time. So like it's I don't know, for me.
I get that joke.
Is that a Matrix reference? Yeah.
Yes,
it is. Yes, this is the nerd qualifier here. So like for me, one, I think it's a massive waste of tokens for all of this. And for part of me, I thought it was conspiracy that Anthropic was just using this to charge more money to boost some of their sales. But that's neither here or there. But I think like at the end of the day, like I'm actually worried that this is going to have a negative impact on security. And the reason for that is so many people that I talk to say, well, like we're waiting for when the actual pain happens from AI. And we're so early right now. The problem with this is that OpenClaw was a consumer-led instance of the capabilities. And it's super powerful to see exactly what it can do, to the point, like I saw one where it called up its user because it figured out exactly what it needed to do. Like it was instructed to find a new experiment to do every day. And it was going out, writing code to actually make a phone call to talk with its user, right? So like, it's really cool when you can see that, but it's still more consumer focused. The issue that I see right now is, where is the impact? Like every security person's losing their mind, rightly so, because it's completely insecure how it's been set up. But like, where is the impact? And I'm worried that that's going to translate over to business, where it's like, oh, well, like there wasn't anything major that happened, but it's just because it was on a consumer level, right? Like you don't hear a lot about the individual fraud that, somebody had down the street from you. What you do hear is when there's ransomware level incidents for a company, and like that can absolutely happen with everything that was happening with OpenClaw if it was going to be deployed in an enterprise environment. And so I think like we might be getting a false sense of security as the TLDR on that.
Did you see the one where the agent called its human because the human put it on the calendar that it made a New Year's resolution to diet and exercise, and it saw it was eating potato chips at like 9 o'clock in the morning, and through one of the home cameras, and it sent him a text message being like, "You're not living up to your New Year's resolution."
Comma fatty, is that what you're trying to say?
I'll forward that to you. Yeah, it's
Have you guys seen
what's going on up there? But to see the business application, I think is really the takeaway there. It's if before you I think law firms are a couple steps away, for example, of embracing this, because there's just the ethical obligation to protect client data is just so strong that I just don't see we're just not quite there yet. But from a human interest perspective and from the cybersecurity perspective, this is really cool.
Have you guys seen the two customer service bots that are put against one another? So they do them on separate phones and they get them to start talking to each other. And it starts to, it turns into one of those Star Trek episodes where they have to like trick the android and get him to like, burn up. It was really funny.
Peter, what's your story?
I wanted to bring up mine real quick too, because it kind of, it fits with a lot of this. So big fan of Security Week. I read those guys a lot. There's a journalist named Kevin Townsend. I've been in his stuff before too. So just full disclosure, a little partial to him, but he wrote a story recently about threat hunting and how it's really going to become a more offensive discipline instead of a reactive discipline. But what I thought was kind of interesting is they're going to use AI, and the best analogy I can come up with is the flu vaccine, right? So we don't know how the flu is going to mutate, but we have all this history of how it has mutated. And so they use and they build algorithms about that. And so when they come up with a new flu vaccine every year, they try to guess at what it's going to mutate it to. But this is why it's not like 100% effective vaccine. It's, 40 to 70, depending on the year or whatever, but it's because they're guessing. So what I'm putting to you guys, because this is like full Dorkatron mode right now, and I can't answer this question, but how does that strike you? AI's ability to identify 0-day or variability in code that's good for exploit. Like, is this a real thing? Is this something we can look to in the future?
Yes. So, Peter, I don't know if you remember this. I think it was like 3 years ago. You and I were having a conversation, and we were arguing about whether 0 days, like whether the current state of LLMs were going to be able to find 0 days. At that time, I think you took the bullish view. I took the pessimistic view. But like that has been completely shattered now, right? OpenAI just came out yesterday, and I still have to read the full article, so I'm only going to give the headline. But they had software that they used their new model to go look for 0 days. And they found I think it was something like 500 new 0 days in code that has been analyzed for years, believed to be secure. And so it is getting scary good at not only generating code, but also analyzing code. And so this is like a classic example where I think back to China that stole Fortinet's, was it Fortinet's or F5's source code? And like, if they're not doing this already to look for new vulnerabilities, then like they're going to be doing it in like the next 30 seconds because it is so freaking efficient at doing that. And it's definitely finding things. So the big gap here that I see is how long is it going to take product companies to start using the same technology to start scanning their code as well? Like I think today attackers have a full on advantage against defenders in a very, very scary way.
That's my next question is, do they still hold the element of surprise?
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we are.
Any chance of catching up, or is it kind of how, law enforcement has such a difficulty to actually get to the attribution stage and actually, hold everyone accountable? Is it still going to be far away for years?
I mean, I feel like it's so difficult to talk in years anymore with how quickly things are advancing. But I think the biggest laggard is going to be how quickly can businesses adopt new technology, which historically has not been very good.
Yeah.
So now you're stuck on, okay, well, great. Let's use the existing security companies. How quickly can they retrofit it in? Like most of the security things that I'm seeing of implementation of AI, it's just like, it's kind of vaporware at this point. Like we're getting better at it. And certainly some of the larger companies, like they're very, very far ahead, but I haven't seen it yet where it's been widely adopted for, your average business.
Isn't it also that it's behavioral too, that's part of the AI from a defensive perspective is not as much analyzing to find the 0 day, but it's analyzing the user's behavior, that when there's an anomalous, something anomalous, that it would flag that as being something that might be the start of an exploit and catching it at an earliest time possible. So like cybersecurity defense is on a spectrum, and it depends on sort of like what where you are in that process insofar as strategy and AI.
Yeah, I think a lot of it's going to come down to just like the vertical integrations of the technology. Like application security is posed to get the biggest boost it's had in years because of everything we just talked about. Some of the behavioral analysis side, like that's where we need to go with agents. I think it's just still early days. And, if you look at UEBA, user and entity behavioral analytics, which is basically looking for anomalous activity, that has just been like prone to false positives that you can't even imagine. And so that opportunity for improvement there, but I just haven't seen the speed there that I have on the application security side.
Well, so the other thought I had is it going to leapfrog it? Is traditional security not going to be able to implement this fast enough? And we're going to start to see AI offer security.
I think we have to call it right there. Want to thank everyone who joined us today. We very much appreciate you spending part of your day with us here at Morning Bytes. Big thank you to our guests, Erin Ayers and Peter Hedberg, taking the time to share your insights and perspectives. This was an awesome conversation. Everyone should follow Erin and Peter on LinkedIn. Please click those little bells at the top. We'll be back with our next amazing episode next month on March 6th. featuring SRM's Jamie Smith and Marsh McClellan's Linda Comerford. It's going to be an awesome continuation of this conversation. Until then, stay warm and stay awesome, everyone.